After a pretty uneventful free agency, the Warriors have finally signed Al Horford. He arrives after 4 incredible years as an NBA champion and foundational stretch big for the Celtics. Now, for years, the Warriors have relied on small ball, asking guys like Draymond to handle the roles of interior defender and rim protector while having a speed and playmaking advantage because of their size. But as Draymond ages and as the league gets faster and bigger, the Warriors' lack of size has been a huge problem. In multiple playoff series since 22, it has been their inability to contain at the perimeter, score reliably without Steph, and maybe most importantly, manage dominant centers like Anthony Davis that has cost them their season. But Al Horford, at the ripe age of 39, might just change that. Let's review. So I actually wanted to begin this film review by turning back the clock to the 2023 Eastern Conference semifinals, where Al Horford did an excellent job containing Joel Embiid and ultimately helped the Celtics win this series. So if you remember anything from this series, you might remember this matchup right here. You'll remember that while Joel Embiid did have some good games, he largely disappointed, partly because he looked a lot to this face-up mid-range game, and also because Al Horford did an incredible job defending him. Watch here as Al does an excellent job not getting foul baited by Joel Embiid, but then also manages to stay with him super effectively as he forces him to drive to the outside, which gives Marcus Smart a good chance here to make this dig. And ultimately, both of them contribute to Joel Embiid losing the ball in crucial possessions like this. But it's also worth noting that this was Joel Embiid at the peak of his powers. Sure, he was injured from time to time and even in this series, but still, Al, at a relatively old age, did an excellent job defending him in isolation, especially inside of the perimeter. Joel Embiid is an extremely versatile scorer. He's super physical, he's super big, and still, Al did an excellent job staying parallel, knowing his shooting pocket, keeping his hand up at the exact right chances to make sure that Joel Embiid had a difficult time hitting these face-up mid-rangers, which ultimately helped the Celtics win the series. Now, let's go back to this year's playoffs, where Al also did an excellent job against the Magic. The Magic are a relatively large team. They play lineups like this with a lot of big guys who like to find space in the interior, put up shots like Franz Wagner does right here. Yet, Al did an excellent job in this case rim protecting. Look, as even though they lose this ball, Al stays attentive and manages to leap up at the exact right time to send this ball out of the possession. Al Horford, for all of his talents and for all of his small size, is still a really solid rim protector. But now let's pay attention to what happens when he's tasked to play this ball screen defense. Here, they're running some sort of get action, or maybe it's going to turn into a ball screen. It's him, it's Peyton Pritchard. He has to come all the way out to the perimeter, and let's see what happens. As Wendell's going to make this dump immediately, Peyton Pritchard is going to be a step behind as the Magic get an inside step. But let's just pause right here. Look where Al Horford is. He's at the three-point line, and I'm just going to tell you right now, he ends up getting a block in this possession. Look how quickly he manages to identify that Peyton Pritchard needs help and then swat this ball into the stands. That type of rotation, the ability to stretch out all the way to the perimeter, and the ability to trust in his teammates, but then know exactly when he has to help, is something that's honestly reminiscent of a top-level Warriors defender like Draymond. Now here, another good example of a rotation block. He's being brought out of the paint, but OG Anunoby does a good job driving this closeout, selling this fake, sending Derek White that way. But again, watch Al Horford in this possession. He knows exactly when to rotate off Josh Hart and when exactly he has to leap up and make this block onto OG Anunoby. He's extremely gifted at the art of timing, and it's that timing that is crucial within the Warriors defense. Now, again, let's look at another ball screen rep. This time he's defending this ball screen between Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns with Drew Holiday. I think something that's super impressive with Al is his ability to switch out and defend a lot of different coverages. Here, Pat ends up opting to reject the screen and he kind of gets an initial step. But look how well Al Horford stays with him and manages to swipe the ball down at the exact time that he tries to pick it up. Again, Al Horford consistently has shown the ability to know exactly when to make these reads. Now here we're in semi-transition, Paolo is coming, and yet again, Al Horford is stretched out all the way to the perimeter. Now, the Warriors have had a lot of weaknesses at the point of attack the last few years. Sure, they've had guys like GP2, sometimes Draymond, Moody, who can defend relatively okay, and in GP2's case, pretty well at the point of attack. But often it's been like butter, and offenses can get easily inside, which is when Draymond is forced to come help and make those insane defensive plays. But here, watch Al Horford. He not only stays with Paolo, but yet again, gets the swipe at the exact right time when he picks up that dribble. Al Horford's extremely gifted at these strip blocks. And I think that's going to continue in a Warriors defense that relies on this inherent level of trust. Now here, again, we're getting stretched out all the way to the perimeter as Al Horford has to defend this DHO between Mitchell Robinson and Mikal Bridges. But again, look at his hand. He always gets in at the exact right time, manages to swipe that ball away, and then generate a super easy shot for the Celtics. And finally, let's look at this transition D opportunity where Al Horford not only temporarily switches in the middle of this possession onto a driving Paolo, but watch as he manages to stay with him. As he does this spin move, he not only stays put, but he doesn't foul, keeps his hand up. And I think something that has to be said as we watch these is that Paolo is much younger, much more athletic, much more forceful than Al Horford should be. Yet Al stays with him. Al has consistently shown up as this defensive stopper for the Celtics, which has definitely contributed to a lot of easy playoff wins against big teams like the Magic for them in the last few years. Horford's defensive strength is in his versatility. The Warriors are starved for a defender besides Draymond that can capably handle bigs in the interior while holding their own as the floor is stretched. While he isn't bigger than Kevon Looney, what he does bring is a much higher defensive ceiling against bigs, wings, and is extremely switchable, which should help lessen the responsibilities of Draymond and offer Kerr much more lineup flexibility. If Horford has been known for anything else during his Celtics stint, it's been his three-point shooting. Here he posts up in the corner and he's pretty much going to immediately fire. He's super willing to take those shots. And because he's a relatively threatening shooter, he helps stretch out the Celtics offense, which helped them a lot with the way they like to run action, get penetration, and make reads at the rim, and then make these kickouts. Let's watch again as he does so. This time he's going to stand at the wing. This is in transition. Look as he basically immediately fires off that three and then drains it. I wanted to also look at this possession with Steph and show you where Al can be useful. So here, him and Draymond are just trying to shake free of this stranglehold from Dillon Brooks and Alperen Şengün. Of course, they love these predictive passes, so Draymond's going to do this lead-ahead bounce pass, but then Steph's going to basically immediately get doubled by Şengün and Fred VanVleet. Keep watch in this corner, though, as Pods is going to try and set this little exit screen for QP to come outside and take this open three. I think this play is worth noting just because Al Horford is going to easily be able to fill that role for the Warriors. Let's again look at this possession where Steph is going to set this little pin-in screen to make sure that Fred VanVleet can't come around and contest any shot. And of course, the rest of the Rockets are much too late. Again, another example of where Al Horford can easily succeed as he's an equally willing shooter to Quinton Post. Now, I also wanted to highlight Al Horford's reps in pick and roll and pick and pop. Here, as Derek White gets this drive, Al Horford comes back out, pops out to the perimeter, and he's not able to get this shot off because he fumbles it a little, but let's look at what he does after that. First thing, he's going to drive this closeout. As he drives this closeout, obviously the defense is going to collapse. And as this defense collapses, as Klingon tries to make this contest, as Avdia makes a step in, he notices Derek White in this corner, makes an immediate kick out, and that's a wide open three. That kind of play, that kind of action, that kind of look is textbook for the Warriors. And I think it's going to be really crucial. As here, you can just look at another example of when Steph makes this drive, gets this double against the Rockets. The rest of the Warriors keep moving. Here, it's Looney who finds his way into the paint and then gets an easy shot. Al Horford is great in these situations, and he's certainly going to succeed with the Warriors as well. Now, here is another example. This time, it's Al Horford in this little side action as Peyton Pritchard's going to come down, do this DHO with Al Horford to come up to the wing. Now, let's watch what happens as he's going to thread the ball to Derek White. They're going to flow into an immediate high ball screen. But let's look at Al Horford's chops in the short roll. As he sets the screen, he gets this pocket pass, and look at the great decision-making as he has these two defenders leading him. Because of that, we know as Warriors fans that whenever anyone draws two or anyone plays this type of coverage on a ball screen, and you have any type of guy who can make a read out of the short roll, they have a 4-on-3 on the backside. And because of that, there's going to be someone open. And here, Horford throws an excellent lob to Cornette. I think it's really awesome to see this type of playmaking from Al Horford because it pretty much directly translates to what he's going to be asked to do on the Warriors. Here we have a very similar situation where this time it's Draymond coming up, receiving this little handoff from Steph. And as Steph is going to fake this three, again, let's look at what happened. Steph has drawn two guys. Because of it, you have the Warriors on a 4-on-3 on the backside. And as we know, Draymond Green is one of the most gifted short roll passers in league history. And because of that, makes an excellent read to the outside where Quinton Post is just waiting, willing to shoot. You could easily see Al Horford as either Draymond or Quinton Post in that example. Al Horford is also able to attack closeouts as he makes this little head fake. Because of it, Austin Reeves makes one shift that way, and immediately look at Al Horford attacking this closeout, recognizing the size advantage he has against LeBron, and then getting this super easy opportunity at the rim. Al Horford, for his age, for his stiffness, whatever you want to say about him, is extremely gifted offensively. He has a suite of tools that he's been using since Atlanta that he can still sometimes use to his advantage and definitely make the Warriors a lot more versatile. Now, the last thing I wanted to take a look at is how Al also plays with this inside positioning. So here, we have this little ball screen action with Derek White. As soon as they make this little switch, he's going to get this inside positioning. Notice how he's now on the inside and Austin Reeves is on his backside. Well, notice the Warriors love to do this with Jimmy Butler, as pretty much immediately this pass is thrown. And now it's too late with their recovery, and Austin Reeves is just too late and too small, and Al Horford is able to get an easy opportunity. Let's look at when the Warriors do that with Jimmy, just to show you how replicable it is with Al Horford. Here, a great example, bit of a different action with Quinton Post at the top and Draymond setting the screen for Moses Moody. But again, let's look at what happens as soon as they identify this little situation where Jimmy loves to get his hands up with guys in the middle of the paint, give them a little shove that he hopes the refs don't see, and then he has an ocean of space to work with, assuming that this guy, Pat Spencer, can clear to the weak side. And of course, he does that. And because he still has pretty decent hops, he's able to get a really easy putback. Even though I don't know if he's actually a better shooter than Quinton Post, he's definitely more experienced. And that, in concert with his ability to use his athleticism in transition, his ability to make excellent reads in the short roll, in pick and roll, in pick and pop, and also his ability to attack closeouts, use inside positioning, and use his size, I think a Warriors system is the perfect fit because it's all about making proper reads, taking the correct shot, And I think Al Horford's experience there should make the difference. Finally, let's talk about fit more in depth. So I think this is a great possession to show you that as soon as Al Horford gets Klingon to bite on this pump fake, he makes an excellent read to the inside to Jaylen Brown. Now, I want to contrast that with this possession where Draymond Green is again going to make an excellent read. He's in the delay action. He basically makes an immediate pass to this cutting Buddy Hield. Now, while both of those possessions might just look like easy passes to the inside, I think what it shows you is that Draymond and Al are both cut from the same cloth. We've already reviewed this possession in the short roll, but just the amount of time that Al Horford spent in this possession, not only moving off of DHOs, off of this pick and roll, making these short roll reads, is something that is already deeply ingrained within him and is crucial to the Warriors. And I think if Al is already gifted and knowledgeable in those types of situations, then when he's tasked by Steve Kerr to do things like the split action, where again, we have this entry pass, we have this screen at the elbow for the shooter to run off of. And then obviously there can be a host of actions as here, Jimmy sets this screen to free up Moses Moody for the three. These types of actions are going to be innate within Al Horford, and I think it's going to immediately help him feel comfortable and help the Warriors get the ball rolling. In the end of the day, Al Horford, at nearly 40, is not the all-defense player or all-star that he once was. In fact, it's likely he gets load managed and doesn't play above 60 games. But still, in the games he does play, his skill set as a switchable big with an aggressive motor for his age and more than capable three-point shooting make him the dream veteran that the Warriors have been asking for. And in a year that will likely hinge on a playoff series where the Warriors will inevitably face daunting bigs like Jokic, Şengün, or Gobert, I think Al Horford might be the perfect answer. Thanks for watching. Let us know if you agree.